True power in a man doesn't roar, it whispers through presence. When a man learns to please a woman, not from ego, not from need, but from understanding, something rare happens. His energy becomes magnetic. He no longer performs to impress, he connects to express. It's in the quiet way he listens, in the patience he shows, in how he studies her without words, as if decoding the language of her heartbeat. A man who truly pleases a woman is not chasing validation, he is creating safety. He becomes a space where she can soften, where her mind stops fighting the world and simply rests. That's the power most men overlook, not dominance, not control, but depth. Because to please a woman means to know her, not the surface she shows, but the emotions she hides, the fears she conceals behind confidence, the stories that shaped her. A man who knows how to sense her needs before she speaks them carries a presence that no words can compete with. That kind of awareness doesn't come from manipulation, it comes from mastery, the mastery of emotion, patience, and control. He learns that her satisfaction isn't just physical, it's mental, emotional, spiritual. When he enters a space, she feels peace. When he speaks, she listens, not because he demands attention, but because his energy already holds it. This man understands that real pleasure begins in the mind, that a woman's heart opens when she feels seen, valued, respected. He's not intimidated by her strength, he admires it. He doesn't compete with her emotions, he harmonizes with them. The world calls such men rare, but they are simply the ones who chose awareness over arrogance. They move differently because they feel differently. Their confidence isn't loud, it's calm. Their power isn't force, it's flow. They make women feel something unforgettable, not because they chase pleasure, but because they create meaning. That's what makes them powerful. Not what they do, but what they awaken. He doesn't seek control over her, he seeks connection with her. That's the quiet difference between a man who takes and a man who gives, between one who performs and one who understands. The second kind of man moves with intention. He knows that power isn't found in dominance but in awareness. He reads the room, reads her energy, senses the shift in tone, the silence that says more than words ever could. He pays attention. That attention is his strength, because a woman doesn't open to a man who demands, she opens to a man who understands. He studies her emotions like art, not to fix them, but to feel them. When she's distant, he doesn't chase, he observes. When she's heavy with unspoken thoughts, he gives her space to breathe. He knows that her storms are not threats to his peace, but invitations to stand still and stay grounded. The man who can remain calm in the face of emotional chaos holds a power that no external achievement can match. He becomes the eye of the storm, unshaken, present, alive. That presence is rare, and women feel it instantly. He doesn't speak to prove a point, he speaks to connect a soul. His words aren't loud, but they echo because they come from honesty. He listens not to reply, but to understand. And when he touches, it's not just physical. It's emotional communication without sound. Every gesture carries intention. Every glance carries reassurance. He doesn't need to convince her of his value. She feels it in the stillness of his presence. This man knows that the truest form of masculinity is sensitivity, without weakness, strength without pride, leadership without control. He doesn't fear emotional depth, he dives into it with courage. He's not threatened by a woman's independence, he celebrates it because he knows her strength adds to his, not subtracts from it. And that is what makes her trust him. It's not about being perfect, it's about being aware. It's about being the man who doesn't just see her body but sees her being. The kind of man who can stand before her without armor, unafraid of honesty, unafraid of emotion. That's the kind of man who leaves a mark that time cannot erase. Because his connection goes beyond touch, it reaches the soul. A man who truly pleases a woman understands that her mind is the doorway to her heart. He knows that attraction begins long before touch. It starts in the way he makes her feel seen, heard, and valued. He doesn't rely on appearance or charm to hold her interest. He uses understanding, consistency, and emotional intelligence. This man knows that every woman craves a sense of safety, not just from the world, but within herself, And he becomes that calm presence that reminds her she can let her guard down. His presence whispers, "You don't have to be perfect here." That's where her trust begins to bloom. He knows the difference between attention and presence. Attention can be given to anyone, but presence is sacred. It requires stillness, patience, and depth. When he's with her, he's not distracted. His focus doesn't wander. His energy tells her, "You matter right now." That undivided attention is what separates him from the rest. Because while many men chase validation, he gives it. While others try to impress, he chooses to connect. He knows that her emotions are not puzzles to solve, but landscapes to explore. He listens not only to her words, but to her silences. He understands that a woman communicates through energy as much as through speech. The subtle changes in her tone, the pauses that hold meaning, the moments she withdraws just to see if he'll notice. And he does. He notices because he's aware. That awareness makes her feel safe in a way few things can. She doesn't need to explain herself over and over. His intuition bridges what language cannot. He doesn't rush her emotions or demand clarity when she's uncertain. Instead, he holds space, the kind of quiet patience that tells her she's free to take her time. That's the real strength of a man: restraint, understanding, and patience wrapped in confidence. The kind of energy that doesn't push, but invites. In a world where most people listen to respond, he listens to connect, and that makes him unforgettable. She won't remember every word he said, but she will remember how she felt in his presence. Understood without judgment, seen without pretense, valued without condition. That's the power of awareness. It builds trust, and trust builds desire. He understands that leadership in love isn't about control. It's about guidance through calm confidence. A real man doesn't seek to dominate a woman. He seeks to inspire her. His strength is never about force, it's about stability. When she feels lost, he doesn't lecture her, he grounds her. When she's uncertain, he becomes clarity through his energy, not his words. He doesn't need to prove his worth. His composure speaks louder than pride ever could. She feels safe in his presence because his energy is steady, unshaken, unbothered by chaos. That's the essence of masculine leadership, being the calm center when everything else feels uncertain. He knows that women don't follow power. They respond to peace. Peace is magnetic. It's rare. It's the quiet strength that says, "I can handle life, I can handle you, I can handle emotion." And that assurance is more seductive than any appearance or wealth could ever be. Because in a world full of noise, a man who can remain still becomes a signal of trust. She leans into that energy not because she has to, but because she wants to. It feels natural, effortless, real. He doesn't tell her who to be, he reminds her of who she already is. That's how true masculine energy operates. It doesn't compete with feminine energy, it complements it. His presence brings out her softness, not by asking her to change, but by allowing her to feel safe enough to. His confidence doesn't shrink her, it expands her, and she feels that difference. He doesn't react out of ego when she challenges him, instead he listens. He understands that resistance from a woman isn't rejection. It's often a test of emotional maturity. She wants to know if his peace can hold under pressure. And when it does, something inside her shifts. She realizes she's found something rare, a man whose strength isn't in control, but in emotional balance. He leads without trying to lead. His silence carries weight, his actions carry intention. He doesn't demand respect, he earns it. He doesn't crave admiration, it naturally follows him. Because leadership in love isn't about being above someone. It's about walking beside them with a sense of direction so strong that she never doubts the path. He knows that intimacy is not just what happens between bodies. It's what happens between souls. Real connection is built in the spaces where two people see each other beyond appearances, beyond roles, beyond masks. A man who truly understands this doesn't chase pleasure, he cultivates connection. He realizes that a woman doesn't give her deepest self to a man who only touches her body. She gives it to the one who touches her mind, her trust, her spirit. That's the kind of intimacy that can't be faked and it can't be rushed. It's born from patience, consistency, and emotional presence. He creates an environment where she feels free to be herself, unfiltered, unguarded, unashamed. There's no judgment in his gaze, only understanding. He doesn't make her feel like she has to earn affection. He gives it because he chooses to, because he enjoys seeing her feel at peace. That's how emotional intimacy is built, not through grand gestures, but through small, repeated moments of genuine care. The way he listens, the way he remembers what she said, the way he notices what others ignore. Those details become the foundation of something real. He doesn't fear vulnerability. He embodies it with quiet strength. He knows that letting her see his truth doesn't make him weak. It makes the connection honest. When he speaks his emotions, she doesn't see fragility, she sees trust. Because a man who can be open without losing his sense of self creates a bond that feels unbreakable. Vulnerability becomes the bridge between their worlds. He understands that true intimacy requires emotional courage, the willingness to be fully seen, to be open, not only when it's easy, but especially when it's uncomfortable. He doesn't hide behind silence when things get deep. He meets her there, in that space of truth where words fade and energy speaks louder. And it's in those unspoken moments that she feels him most, not through performance, but through presence. The warmth of his patience, the sincerity of his tone, the depth in his eyes. That's where intimacy lives, not in touch alone, but in trust. He realizes that real closeness isn't about possession, it's about freedom within connection. And when she feels that, she doesn't just desire him, she respects him, she trusts him, she remembers him. He understands that respect is the foundation of every meaningful connection. Without it, attraction fades, trust crumbles, and intimacy becomes shallow. A man who truly pleases a woman knows that respect isn't just about polite words or gestures, it's a way of being. It's in how he honors her boundaries, how he values her opinions, and how he treats her as an equal in every sense. He never belittles her, dismisses her thoughts, or underestimates her strength. Instead, he approaches her with the understanding that her individuality is as important as his own, and that honoring her fully is what creates a bond that lasts. He doesn't seek to control her or dictate her choices, he seeks to support her. He realizes that a woman's freedom to express herself, make decisions, and pursue her own path is not a threat. It is a sign of her strength, and his recognition of that strength only deepens the connection. Respect, in this sense, is not passive, it is active. It's the way he listens without interrupting, the way he acknowledges her experiences without judgment, and the way he responds with empathy instead of criticism. He also understands that respect is shown in small, consistent actions as much as in words. It's in remembering the things she values, noticing her moods, and being mindful of how his actions impact her. It's in holding space for her emotions without trying to fix them, in offering guidance when asked but never imposing it, and in treating her time, energy, and presence as precious. Through these actions, he communicates that she is valued, seen, and worthy of care. At the core, he knows that respect builds trust, and trust is the glue of intimacy. When a woman feels respected, she feels safe, and safety allows her to open fully. Emotionally, mentally, and even physically. That trust cannot be rushed or forced. It grows naturally when respect is consistent and genuine. The power of a man who respects a woman lies not in domination, possession, or control, but in the way he elevates her, uplifts her, and honors her existence. He doesn't need to prove his worth or demand admiration, because his respect alone makes him unforgettable. She feels it in the way he acts, speaks, and moves through life with integrity. That respect becomes a force that draws her closer, deepens her trust, and cements a connection that is rare, profound, and lasting. It is in this awareness, this deliberate care, that he becomes truly powerful.